When every hire means sorting through FMCSA rules, drug testing steps, and audit paperwork, the slowdown isn't on paper alone. It hits recruiting, pulls your team off real work, and keeps drivers waiting to get on the road. While your team is still chasing forms, a qualified driver can sign with a faster fleet and be gone. And when a clearinghouse check, drug test, or driver file step gets missed, that delay can become a violation, a fine, or a painful audit finding. Department of Transportation rules reach nearly every point in the testing cycle, from pre-employment and random testing to post-accident, reasonable suspicion, return to duty, and follow-up. Even if collection sites, labs, or service agents handle parts of the process, your fleet still owns the compliance outcome. That's where LabWorks USA comes in, handling drug and alcohol testing program administration for carriers covered by the Department of Transportation and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Instead of asking your managers to stitch every requirement together by hand, the goal is to keep compliance moving from one step to the next without constant guesswork. When the process is simpler, your team can spend less time buried in paperwork and more time keeping drivers, schedules, and day-to-day operations on track. The YouTube channel breaks down complex Department of Transportation rules into quick videos that get straight to the answer you need. You'll find practical guidance on drug and alcohol testing, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration clearinghouse management, and getting ready for a DOT audit. If you're a new entrant, the stakes show up fast. Within your first 18 months, a mandatory safety audit can put your DOT registration at risk right away if you earn a failing rating. You'll also get practical help with onboarding, random pool enrollment, and the exact records and habits auditors expect to see when they review your program. Before a CDL driver operates a commercial motor vehicle, the pre-employment step has to be complete, and that means a negative drug test result is already in hand. Random testing can't feel predictable. It has to be unannounced and spread reasonably across the calendar year, so drivers aren't all tested in one obvious burst. And for owner-operators, staying compliant usually means joining a consortium, often managed through a consortium or third-party administrator structure, so the program is active even when there's no in-house fleet office running it. LabWorks USA points to two speed advantages right away: immediate enrollment certification and a network of more than 20,000 collection sites. That means drivers can get into a clinic fast, and your hiring process doesn't sit still while someone tries to solve the logistics. If you don't want your team handling every clearinghouse task directly, you can designate a consortium or third-party administrator or CTPA to manage queries and reporting on your behalf. But if the annual query, driver consent, or account setup isn't already in place, hiring can stall before the driver starts, and that missing step can surface again in an audit. When onboarding is handled well, the big five are all covered up front: the pre-employment drug test, a full clearinghouse query, the medical certificate, the motor vehicle record review, and enrollment in the random pool. LabWorks USA frames those steps as the bridge between moving fast and staying compliant, so your hiring team isn't forced to choose one or the other. That creates a cleaner path from applicant to active driver, with fewer handoffs, fewer holdups, and fewer chances for a required step to get missed. Supervisors need specific training to recognize possible impairment and know how to act when reasonable suspicion comes up, so the moment is handled correctly, instead of turning into a compliance problem. LabWorks USA offers a Department of Transportation-approved supervisor training certificate course that meets Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration requirements, giving your team a documented way to cover that duty. Even if you're running one truck by yourself, you still have to be in the Department of Transportation drug and alcohol testing program and keep records ready for an audit at any time. That's why consortium support matters. It takes a lot of the paperwork off your plate and helps a small operation avoid the kind of misstep that turns into a fine or audit problem. This risk is showing up in the numbers. This year, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration safety investigations found violations in 94% of cases. And the acute violations at the top of the list are some of the easiest to picture: no drug and alcohol testing program in place, or no true random testing happening once drivers are on the road. When the testing program itself falls out of compliance, the average fine is more than $8,000. That's not admin friction anymore. It hits the business directly. And if a driver keeps operating after a suspended commercial driver's license or after a positive test, regulators can step in immediately and demand corrective action on the spot. The rules get very specific here. Random testing rates are set at 50% for controlled substances and 10% for alcohol. And once a driver is selected, that test has to happen within the selection period. For alcohol, the test also has to fall inside a safety-sensitive work window. LabWorks USA says its network includes more than 20,000 collection sites across the country, so drivers aren't stuck waiting on geography before the process can move. And when a fleet needs records in a hurry, the company says audit assistance is available right through the dashboard, so key documents are easier to pull fast. That kind of support is meant to take the scramble out of audit day, so your team spends less time hunting paperwork and more time answering with confidence. Instead of separate charges from the lab, the MRO, and the collection site, your team can work from one invoice that brings the whole testing process together. With fewer handoffs to track, your staff spends less time on admin and a lot less time chasing the follow-up that usually comes after disconnected billing. The fleets that stay ready are the ones keeping records clean, training supervisors properly, and testing consistently long before any audit notice shows up. LabWorks USA is built to make compliance easier to manage, so it gets done, not easier to push aside until it becomes a problem. If you want faster answers and fewer compliance slowdowns, take 5 seconds and subscribe. You'll get quick DOT guidance that helps your fleet stay compliant and keep drivers moving.